B-side time.
The B-side. Been a minute. Took a week there.
That's okay.
A whole week.
It's not as if things aren't happening in this world.
Yeah.
Your world, my world.
The ball keeps on bouncing.
Yeah, but it's starting to be bounced on a bed of needles, my friend.
People came back to life, though. I mean, that is nice. Since after Labor Day, and I feel like people are back and focused. And
are you
and here?
Do you circle at this point in your life? I won't say at your age, but at this point in your life, do you circle holidays anymore?
No, there's no difference to us. I work most holidays, so I circle the random Tuesday now. Yeah. But, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What day will nobody bother me?
Right. But it comes so fast, and the holidays just keep, yesterday was Memorial Day, and it was 4th of July. Labor Day is over, and now the holiday is, we're all back in focus, so.
Yeah, I was trying. We were
3 months until everybody shuts down again.
Had some stupid early morning coffee talk with my wife the other day where we were just. I was the one being stupid. She was the one looking at me as if I was stupid. You know how like
sure that never happens.
Yeah, no, never. Yeah. Like New Year's, everybody New Year's. Oh, I'm time to go to the gym, or 4th of July, I'm gonna start saving for school or whatever. And I was like, okay, what do you do after Labor Day?
Right.
Like
right. What do we do?
Talk shit on pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Hey,
wait for fall.
Watch football, you guys. Watch football.
Football season.
Oh yes. That's true. College football was a thing last weekend.
So obviously, music is one of my passions.
What do we got today?
What do you think? You like this vibe? Here,
I do.
Bump it up a little bit.
I don't know that I've heard an opening song yet I haven't liked.
So these guys, buddies, friends, acquaintances, Old Souls Revival. Neil C. Luke leads them up, is the singer du jour. They're great. You should go check them out because on any of the socials, YouTube, this new song called Nobody Cares. Him and James Jackson, the videographer who lives a handful of houses down from Blues City Deli.
Oh boy.
They ran an old school newsroom, and just go watch the video just for the ticker, because they obviously scripted the news. It is brilliant. It's like Onion meets this administration. It's so good.
I feel like that would be drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah. Old Souls Revival. I'll put a link to it in show notes today. And also, if you are listening on Apple Pod or maybe Prime, you're giving the big beast all your money. Shift over and give your money to YouTube, because there you can see us. We're actually video, baby, live, big screen. So
big screen.
That's my PSA for
the big time. The big time.
So last time we were down at my favoritist place in I'm not even gonna say St. Louis anymore. It might be my favoritist place in the Midwest, and that being
really. Is that your favorite four walls?
It kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, I'm looking for a Tuesday with nobody.
Yeah.
That's my place.
That's your cheers.
Yeah. Amsterdam Tavern.
You got to find one of those. Amsterdam Tavern. They were unbelievable hosts.
Go check it out. It was fun because our friend there was a literal world traveler from Seattle to Phoenix to New York to Beijing to Cairo.
Ghana?
No.
Was it Ghana?
Yeah. I didn't take
Eastern
notes.
Europe. I know.
He met the girl.
Got a lot of them.
He met the girl.
Yes.
In one of those places, and then went to Croatia.
Yep. They went to Croatia.
And here's the moral of the story, though.
Yep.
You think of all that, and he spent a lot of years and was, exposed to a lot. Came to St. Louis somewhat apprehensively, a little bit like, okay, I'll test things.
Came on a 5-year experiment, I think he said.
Another one, well, I'm not going to say it again. Yeah. And now...
Another transplant spouse situation?
From a private school that you can't pronounce. And he's not left. So great stories. Go check it out.
That was Villa Duchesne that won that fight. Yes.
There we go. So Anthony, I think it's time. Go ahead. Without further ado, why don't you roll
Thank
in?
you. Yes,
our
in
guest.
previous episodes, Amy, we try to pick the schools that get the people from around the world that really win. But
Need a scoreboard.
That's actually not a bad idea. But today, speaking of schools and parenting and guides and restaurants and food and culture, so for those of you listening, you might recognize the name of our guest, Amy Delahunt. Very, very cool name.
Thank you.
And so she's our guest today on the show. So thank you for coming. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, if I as somebody who makes who likes to think he helps provide guidance to the city and culture and world that is St. Louis, and particularly pro tips, chances are you've actually read Amy's work, whether it's St. Louis Magazine or a Live magazine back in the day.
Or Sauce
Amy in
Magazine
Words or
before that.
Sauce Magazine. From journalism to politics to entrepreneurship to business, education, you've really been across the gamut, and you're a transplant.
Yes,
Yes.
that's true.
So we were talking before the red light came on, and I asked, you're not from here, where are you from? And you started to tell me your story, and I had you stop at North Dakota. So why don't we start at North Dakota?
Yeah.
Because how'd that happen?
How are there people in North Dakota? Actually,
we will have
They've got a mean branding marketing campaign, by the way.
What is it? You didn't know we existed.
Yes, it's something like that. We actually have that, or it's something great like that we need to emulate. Anyway, North Dakota.
I love North Dakota. I grew up on a sheep ranch in a very small town, which is
This is getting better by the second.
Outstanding.
And then I went to college in Fargo. So the only way you can tell I'm still from North Dakota is with the O's. I say Dakota and Fargo. Otherwise, my accent's pretty much gone.
Totally. Oh my God. Yes. Oh.
So we also kind of alluded to maybe an overlap in generational awareness. Going to school in Fargo, I'm totally going to jump the shark now. When the movie came out, were you like spot on?
I thought it was hilarious. I had a lot of relatives and friends who weren't such fans of it. But they also could have been extras in that movie.
Yeah. You were in the diner, Mom.
I mean, at least it's something. At least they know we're alive. That's my point.
So you go to Fargo, college focus, industry, kind of connect the dots for us from, maybe root interest in your university activation, so to speak. And, what kind of time frame were we looking at that drew you to St. Louis, and what was that magnet?
Well, it wasn't a straight route from the Dakotas in Minnesota to here. I studied mass communication back in the era when you still needed to get a photojournalism minor, because the assumption was you were going to work for a newspaper. And the photojournalism minor included like developing the film in the dark room, and you were, maybe doing your stories on a computer, but then they would print it out and use like a wax machine to paste it on the actual page. So it was a while ago. But I knew forever that I wanted to be a journalist and wanted to write. That was the only thing I was ever really interested in. And they kind of had little things to weed out people who maybe weren't going to be successful. And one of the things was you had to go out and take pictures of 10 people you didn't know. And for me, that was just super easy. And some of my classmates struggled. Like, they just were not comfortable approaching 10 random strangers on the street. And for me, that was, for whatever reason, that was no problem. Like, I can just walk up and talk to anybody. And I was legit interested. Like, then I would have a conversation. Like, I wouldn't just take their picture and run away. Like, we would stand there and talk for 10 minutes. So I really had an affinity for that, and then met my spouse, my ex-husband now, He was also going to college there, and he was in the ROTC program. So then after graduation, he was stationed in Dayton, Ohio, which is not that fantastic of a destination. So we decided if I was going to be a military spouse, we needed to go somewhere more fun than that. So he ended up getting stationed in Germany. So I was in Germany for 6 years, and then I came to St. Louis from Germany.
So you went from the Wright brothers to Volkswagen. Is that
Actually Mercedes and Porsche? I was in Stuttgart.
Sorry. A bougie.
Look out.
So then I'm going to guess at some point, based on kind of the hopping, was it Scott Air Force Base?
And then, so he got out of the military while we were in Germany, but he did come back to work as a contractor at Scott Air Force Base. And so, that's how we ended up here, yes.
So roughly what year was that?
2001 we moved here. We moved here in May of 2001. Sight unseen, like I had never been to St. Louis. But we kind of joked that you could live, if we had been in Dayton for 2 years and survived, you could live anywhere for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that was our rationale for
A lot of
moving to
people
St.
think of
Louis.
us as Dayton. St. Louisans don't like to hear that, but that's what they think.
Yeah, I mean, well, let me kind of ask along the lines of that. When you heard St. Louis as the potential destination before decisions were made, what was maybe your guttural reaction to that? Was it any research? Was there apprehension? Was there like, are you kidding me? Or, oh, that's interesting. Where did you fall on that?
Growing up in North Dakota, St. Louis did not have a fantastic reputation. There's not a lot of big cities by North Dakota. So even though St. Louis is about an 18-hour drive from my hometown.
Wow, is it that far?
Denver's a 9-hour drive. Minneapolis is a 10-hour drive. Like there's nowhere close. So we kind of think of St. Louis as a Midwestern
She'd
city.
probably get to Juneau quicker.
Wow.
It's way out there, yeah.
I would have said 8-9 hours. I would never 18 hours. Get out.
So was it just kind of one of those kind of predictably? It's an urban, dangerous city. So
I mean, back in those days, North Dakota had all Democratic congressional, like the whole congressional delegation was Democratic. It wasn't such a red state as it is now.
Yeah.
But St. Louis still had a reputation as being kind of dangerous and scary, and like you might pass through at the arch on your way to somewhere else, but you wouldn't really get off the interstate.
So not politically scary, but in terms of crime.
Like actually, not surviving your visit.
I blame
scary.
Chevy Chase.
Yes, I think that
National
was a big
Lampoon.
influence.
It's so true. It is so true.
Have you ever
No, I've never. Not one person hasn't mentioned.
I have significant issue with the movie in that scene though.
Yeah,
because right? Because he's westbound.
I know.
Crossing
It's not
Poplar, and
St.
all of a
Louis.
sudden he lands in East St. Louis. Like,
I know.
No. Why didn't you show the U-turn?
I know. I know. I mean, that movie truly sank the world. Incredible movie, but
so St. Louis, the St. Louis metro area becomes your new home. Your writing at the time, was there? Did you have a job lined out? Were you doing your homework? And
I did not have a job lined up. But I did get a job pretty quickly stringing for the Post-Dispatch, covering city and county, city government and school board meetings throughout St. Louis County. So that was kind of my sideline. And then...
Well, there's 92 of them, so probably kept you...
nothing to do there. Nope.
It was back in the day when the Post still had neighborhood sections. And so I was everywhere from Huntley to South County, but I was mostly in North County. And so that was kind of my introduction. We lived in a furnished apartment downtown St. Louis, which was also interesting. Like, it was very different in 2001. There wasn't a place to get food even at night. It was pretty empty. Yeah. And then I was in North County a lot for meetings in the evenings. So my introduction to St. Louis was probably atypical.
Mm-hmm.
So you start writing. You're covering, the government, school board stuff, et cetera. And if we kind of bookend maybe your work, if that was your early work here, your current work is way more pop culture, food and beverage and cannabis. And, as you're writing about, a 600-person municipality school board meeting, are you longing for, to take a deeper dive into the culture scene, or did you have any idea what was going on around you? Because if you're living in an apartment where there's no food after 7 p.m., if that's your ultimate passion now, what was it like at that time to try and navigate, good food or a cup of coffee, or and then connect it to your work?
Yeah, well, I was coming from Germany, where the bread is fantastic. Even though it doesn't have a reputation of having fantastic food in Germany, I mean, Europe, France was an hour away. Everything was much closer, and there was fantastic Greek food and fantastic Italian food. And so having come from the Midwest originally, I did not expect to find that in St. Louis, and I was actually very pleasantly surprised, not necessarily downtown, but just the level of food overall. And I started working for Sauce about 4 or 5 months after I moved here, not thinking that I knew a lot about food. Actually, they just needed a copy editor, and I wanted more clients. So it was
more for the writing. Yeah.
It was like a very practical solution for both of us. And then I discovered that, having grown up on a ranch, knowing a lot about agriculture, knowing a lot about cooking, and then having lived in Europe, and my mom was also a Spanish teacher who had lived in Mexico, so I knew not a lot about Latin food, but I was familiar with it. So it turned out that I knew a lot about food without even knowing that. And then once I got into the editing, I was like, oh, okay, this is actually my zone. I really enjoy this.
It is a pleasant surprise about St. Louis. And
I had also learned a lot about beer and wine in Germany, just almost in self-defense. If you pour the Weizen beer or the wheat beer in the wrong glass,
did you know
your friends will not be impressed by you.
Did you know the connection of the Bavarian German history, St. Louis beer, when you got here? Was that more still all Anheuser-Busch? It was kind of before the microbrew renaissance. I mean,
Schlafly was
going,
here and was making good beer. There weren't a lot of other places, but
so you were really there at the genesis, the outset.
That's been really fun to watch as people here became more educated. But I also love. I mean, after we moved out of downtown, we moved to South Soulard, so we literally lived a block and a half from the brewery. The brewery was our backyard.
You could smell it.
Got the scent.
We got the hops. The day we moved in, that was really strong hop smell, and the movers were like, I couldn't live here. I was like, this smells like home after coming from Stuttgart. So and we loved living there. We loved having the brewery there. My kids would, ride their trikesters on the sidewalks, and the brewery workers would know them, and it was actually a great place to live in the shadow of the brewery.
Do you recall during those years, or the early years, I should say, of after having the travels and living in some amazing places, intriguing places, as well as Dayton, were you kind of slowly just becoming part of the neighborhood or the scene or your community, both work and local, and it just kind of was a byproduct of just being here? Or were you cognizant and surprised by what you were getting out of the city in real time?
I definitely was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised by St. Louis and what it had to offer. There were definitely certain things that I was surprised negative. I don't want to say negatively, but like all the little municipalities were really a surprise constantly. Yeah. And there were so many really well-meaning people operating in very small silos, and it just felt to me so inefficient right from the start. Mm-hmm.
Thank God that's over.
Yeah, who knew?
So glad that changed in the last 25 years.
So one of the things that I write about now, in addition to the food writing that I do locally, I write about community development a lot.
Yeah.
And so I do still work in North County a lot, and the 24-1 community where they've brought, it was 24, now it's 22 municipalities together. Like, they are trying to address some of that tremendous inefficiency.
Could you tell me a little bit about that project?
Yeah, that's
more?
new to me as well.
It's a really interesting.
It started around 2009, 10, 11, where 24 of the little tiny 600-person municipalities, and basically the footprint of the Normandy School District, they kind of initially they started talking about the price of road salt. Some of them were paying $35 a ton, some were paying $150 a ton, and they're like, okay, we can actually get all together and figure out a way that save ourselves some money. So gradually over time, they started to collaborate more. They formed a municipal partnership. They do a lot now. In fact, they just, in the August election, passed a transportation district where 17 of those communities have a sales tax now, and they're going to start using that for road and sidewalk improvements.
I find this like incredibly ironic and depressing and funny at the same time, because how many are we at? What, 92 or whatever the number is,
yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah.
And we've been talking about Better Together. We've been talking about city county merge, all this stuff, and you know, and it's like it seems so simplistic. Like I get that it's not a macro game changer.
Yep.
It's not going to automatically influx 1 million people. But if we were kind of one org, it'd be easier. And part of the reason that so many of these municipalities around the area poo-poo the idea is because they don't want any of the city's issues. They don't want any of the north side's issues. And yet there's 22.
Or even the municipality next door.
Yeah, and it's actually, I'm flabbergasted that I don't know that this has been going, because I'm a nerd about this. They are actually functionally doing what, you know, working together.
Yes.
And it all started over street salt.
Yeah, actually, they all.
That's such a St. Louis reason too. It wouldn't be the big macro, not the other.
No, it has nothing to do with the
It's
fireman's pension.
Totally
Let's
some
talk
little
about
ordinance about trash or snow removal or a pothole or
God.
salt. Yeah, when we take visitors who are coming to visit St. Louis, and you're going to the airport on 170 North.
Do you tell them to count the city
Yeah,
limit signs?
they look and they go, you know, there's a new neighborhood every 100 feet.
Yeah.
And it's just it's
That's why you do
so
the speed
absurd.
limit, because it could be a $700 trip.
It's like, wait a minute. Oh, just kidding. Oh, wait, just kidding.
Yeah.
And then we're in a new municipality, and you know, you try to show people the map, and on a normal map, it might be in the cities where people are coming from. Maybe there's 8 neighborhoods you might get to know, and here it's 89 to 90, 91, 92. So that is heartening to know that's been happening.
And Better Together was not necessarily popular with those municipalities because they had established relationships like through basketball leagues and like some social relationships even before the road salt. You know, they kind of knew each other and they trusted each other, and they I don't think feel that level of trust has been established yet. And so
Would they eventually want to bring it under one flag or one neighborhood?
you know, it's
Is that the
challenging
goal?
because the 24-1 community emphasizes the 24-1 municipalities over the one with the one school district. Like, so they want their independence. They want to still have a say.
Yeah.
The civic leaders are, you know, very engaged and very outspoken, but they also recognize that small communities don't have a chance.
Yeah.
That's the muni mayors and
and they also have a very strong partnership with Beyond Housing that helps them get some grant funding, including a lot of federal grants for things like housing renovations and things like that. So it's a very complex network that they've established, and I think they thought Better Together was just going to come in and overlay some other structure without understanding the community, and they don't want that.
How many roles are in a town in city hall in all the various little municipalities? Is it 4 or 5 people working? I know you kind of have the municipal. You have the mayor, right?
Yeah, the mayor and the city council or the board of aldermen.
Little council. Yeah,
and then there's a lot of collaboration, even with this. Police departments. I think 10 communities have joined the North County Police Cooperative. I got to get that right. And that is, you know, taking out some of the duplication from the police services. They're recognizing
because we don't have as many police departments as we do municipalities.
Correct.
It's a lot, 60 something.
Correct.
Maybe, I think,
yeah. So there is some collaboration there, and that's really beneficial. In terms, you know, small departments can't pay their people enough. They don't have access to the technology that they need. So
it's still the issue is the fiefdom mentality, because the reason why they don't, you know, they were afraid of Better Together was fundamentally they would be losing their own power. So if, like, for example, these police departments, when you go to bid for insurance, if you've got 100 cops versus 3,000, you're going to get a better rate with massing. And, and it wasn't really, I understand their protectionism, but the much bigger picture is also we're nowhere near close. I love that they're doing it. It's a micro model. It's like,
Very
hey,
much, yeah.
Hey, here's economies of scale when it comes to street salt or school district things or activations or grant writing. But in the long run, it's got to be macro.
And is it?
And I think they recognize that too. Yeah, they recognize that the region is stronger as a whole region.
And do they have to do in terms of ticketing? What do all the little municipalities say with the court fees and being pulled over? We get a lot of questions around that for newcomers to St. Louis. Is the separation, and that an individual municipality is trying to support itself, does that end up turn into ticketing, a 33 and a 30? Is that real, or is that?
Yeah, because on the 30th of each month, they got to make the budget, right?
I mean, is that still
the
a
joke.
thing? Is that still a thing?
For sure, it got a lot of attention after Ferguson. I would say it hasn't not changed everywhere, but I think it's better.
I've noticed it change a lot after 2014, a lot.
Yeah, I think that's gotten better. I think they're
But
trying.
Pre-Ferguson or pre-2014, that was
Yes. And
how they were paying the bill.
As someone who covered government meetings, I can attest that actually was true.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
So
in Rock Hill and places that were just famous for it. Wow.
Let's move out of the weeds of municipal politics, where it's probably in a little bit of a fog.
Yeah,
we
probably lost one or two.
We got a food and weed writer here. Let's get into. So you're doing some copy work for Sauce. You are living in Soulard. You're kind of adding up these things that are really becoming and exposing you more to. The underbelly or the real neighborhood value of St. Louis, and from food and the schools. Because if you have kids, now you're starting to figure out, the Soulard School and all of that. What was there a definitive point or a transition from kind of doing that municipal work, shifting more into the pop culture writing? What does that look like on a timeline?
Yeah, my role at Sauce Magazine grew. Eventually, I was the managing editor, but it was also tough with 2 young children, and my ex-husband traveled a lot for work, so the schedule just kind of became untenable. I couldn't do as much in the evenings. I had to give up the covering government meetings, which all happened at night, and then a lot of the restaurant work happened at night. So eventually I had to kind of pull back from that a little bit. So I left Sauce when my youngest was like a year old or 2 years old, and then I was still doing a lot of writing, education-wise and other things, but I often joke that I keep trying to get out of food writing and I keep getting sucked back. So after
it pulls you back.
It did. Then Alive approached me about covering nightclubs and food. So I was doing that.
Well, one of the things that I've always loved about working with you, and we get not to do another shameless plug, but people know Acclimate and know me a little bit as a writer, and I don't know that people know about ghostwriting, and I don't know that I've written anything in the last 3 or 4 years that you have not looked at or edited or been an exceedingly large part of. So I think it's important for people to know, the professionals behind the professionals in your line. But one of the things I've always just truly loved about working with you is that you can write about other matters, some of the macro matters like education, like school, like government, anything from parenting to, and it is funny because the restaurants are always so fun to get into and to write about. But you as a journalist, you're really investigating or looking into anything. Mm-hmm. And
I write a lot about education
not a one
technology right now, on a national level, education technology, community development still, but I also write about beer originally.
Yeah.
And so it's,
Well, it's like Anthony Bourdain, it comes down to in and around
Yeah.
food. We all end up at the food, but there's a lot of different roads.
Yeah, that's actually where I was going to go with this, because
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm trying to place a time frame over all of this. This is the early 2000s, mid 2000s, correct?
Yes.
If I'm
Yeah.
close. Because at that time, to date me, married in 2001, and I remember on our honeymoon, we were so enamored. We spend all this money and we go to St. Lucia and like, oh, let's go hang on the beach. And all we did was stay in the room and watch Food Network.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yes.
so cable television in these stations.
Just starting. Yep.
HGTV and Food Network.
Pre-diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And so like the television, the media pop culture surrounding food and food entertainment, post Emeril Lagasse, where
Hadn't
things
quite.
started, and along comes Bourdain and his shows and everything. It seems as if during that time frame, it was really an explosion of national / global interest in food entertainment.
Well said. Yeah.
Were you cognizant that was going on while you were kind of transitioning and getting your legs and figuring out what you wanted to focus on? Because I've been scrolling through your articles at Sauce and everything else back to, like here I'm on your 2005 page at Sauce.
Of course, I love it.
This is as far back as the archive goes, and I believe there it is. Yeah, April 1st, 2005, by Amy De La Hunt. Your kitchen's come a long way, baby. Home cooking then and now. And then the last one was, where'd my entree come from? Finding the path food takes from farm to your plate. That was in November. So, in
Farm to
2005,
table was just becoming a thing.
you're really you're in the food scene. You're writing Sauce. But again, the parallel universe at that time was the reality of the explosion of Martha and food TV and all this stuff. Did you see it as an opportunity, or were you just kind of like still, your own personal interest blinders when you wrote?
I love celebrating what people are doing. And in St. Louis, there always, I feel like always have been so many independent restaurateurs, very, very talented entrepreneurs, but also who really know at least one genre of food, whether it was Italian or Chinese or whatever. And I loved telling their stories. I loved celebrating that. I loved celebrating the ripple effects. People who were working for Gerard Kraft, who had just opened his restaurant in Benton Park, which was literally down the street.
Yeah.
It was just down the street from where I lived. And so, there was a ripple effect coming out of his kitchen, and other Sydney Street Cafe, also right down the street from where I lived.
See, I could only afford Truman's.
Also right down the street from where I lived.
I'm not saying I was there often. I'm saying I'm aware of their pricing.
So it was such an exciting time in that sense that St. Louis really did have something to say to these trends that were happening nationally.
And for those who don't know, those are our first two James Baird Award winning, not just nominated, but also winning.
Yeah, I was actually going to say
Gerard
that.
Kraft, and it all started with, really with Niche and Sydney Street.
Yeah, I mean, was it surprising to you, kind of knowing enough to be really dangerous? You're writing, you're in the industry. The team at Sauce, they were culinary kind of minds, brains, big brains. The fact that you have Gerard and Kevin, 3 blocks away from each other, that had to have been really kind of unique within the industry to see what was popping off of Sydney.
I think it was unique then and unique now that there is such a level of collaboration in the food industry in St. Louis, starting with the high schools where the kids learn culinary skills. I mean, really talented chefs will come back to the high schools that they attended or the community colleges that they attended and give master classes for the students. They'll help each other out. They'll stage in each other's kitchens. They'll collaborate. There are so many collaborations. I mean, if you're just on social media, any given weekend, there's so many collaborations.
See, St. Louis, when you cooperate and work together, pretty amazing what happens. But why did why did food? Why that industry? That was the sandbox where everybody played together and got along.
At
Like,
a
how did that
super
happen?
High level.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and look at what's happened. Look at our food scene and our dieting scene and our whole culture. It's really unbelievable. But how did that end up being the area where, from a governmental standpoint to a positioning to brand, we're all in our own silo, except food, we came together.
There's an underlying level of confidence there that is just unquestioned.
Why? How did this happen? Unbelievable.
You're the local. You'll have to tell me that.
Yeah.
I'm the transplant.
Well, you know what? I tell you
I
what.
mean, maybe they're all a lot of transplants, but they all support each other and they help each other and they advocate for each other, and it's just wild.
It's so kumbaya.
It is. They don't even tell you to eat at their own restaurant. I'm like, why are you telling me about Kevin's restaurant? Why aren't you telling me about yours? It's unreal.
That's a great place. What I'd like to do is take a quick break. Quick kumbaya to our neighbors here, because we're recording in the Dots Act thanks to the Kranzbergs here studio. Called the Primate House is what it is. But across the street, if you're watching the video, you'll notice some lovely pastries. And I wanted to get the food writers' critique on what I believe is the best biscuit.
Fantastic biscuit, yes.
So high-low. Blueprint Coffee,
Yep.
the pastries. I've got a few there, so go check them out too. Is it flaky enough? Or
yeah, it's perfectly
buttery?
flaky. Yeah.
And for the coffee snobs out there, Blueprint is, especially if you like light roast, it's it. I'd say something Blueprint. It's
There you go.
Something really special. So.
Quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the food scene, the weed scene, the writing scene, and more with Amy De La Hunt. Thank you. Like, review, follow, share. We'll be right back.
Well, I'm the king of mistakes.
When I come home, nothing feels the same anymore.
All right, we are back. Quick refills, little sneaky snacks. I hammered that rosemary feta scone. Oh my God,
That's
yeah.
a solid choice.
Are you
I see it's gone.
Are you a sweet or savory guy?
I'm a savory salts guy.
Damn, you should have told me that. I gave you a choice.
It is the one addiction I do not have. Are the sweets.
Well, I grew up in a household where we never had candy. We never had soda in the house,
Yeah.
right? We were definitely not a sweets house.
Yeah.
Partially because, frankly, couldn't afford it. We just
Yeah.
didn't have that.
Yeah.
Like water and milk.
Yeah.
That's what we had.
Yeah.
But for dessert, every night my mom would have just a piece of bread and butter.
Yeah.
And it was Land O'Lakes, had the Indian on the counter, never went in the fridge. It was always room temperature butter,
Yeah.
salted.
Yeah.
And I've to this day, I'm with you. Give me a
Yeah.
French loaf and white butter.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? That just salty as hell.
Yep.
What-
Even as a kid, I would give away the Halloween candy. I just didn't.
except for peanut butter cups.
I do like the peanut butter cups. It's true.
It's that salty peanut butter.
If I am going to do it, I will do. That's my order. The custard and the.
Well, one
peanut
more
butter-
stupid
peanut butter cup.
question before
Yeah.
we actually.
The
don't-
potato
so-
chips, Billy Goat chips, or
Peanut-
French fries, or oh my god.
Amy, how about you? Peanut butter, smooth or crunchy?
Smooth peanut butter.
Okay, we can continue this conversation.
I'm that freak. I
Oh
am
my
a crunchy peanut butter guy.
But you drink coffee, so you're still in here too.
I didn't know that was a thing. That people who eat crunchy peanut butter are psychopaths.
Yes. Yeah, you. Yeah.
I've read about this.
What do you think of the tune here? Amy, what do you think? You like
Fantastic,
this?
yeah.
Little vibe?
Fantastic.
I would love to go out and listen to this.
Well, you're in luck because the artist is Miss Mattie Schell. She was originally, she's been playing music her whole life, but she was part of River Kittens back in the day. One of those three amazing voices. There's four of them. But Mattie, she's been on a run. I love to highlight these individuals here in our backyard. She did some work and was kind of helped out by Mr. Devin Allman and that crew, but most recently she's been signed and she's over on Compass Records, which is some of the artists on that album are on that label. Leftover Salmon, you heard of them. Robbie Fulks is a infamously famous singer-songwriter, but the name that jumps out at me is my man, Colin Hay. You know the name? Men at Work, baby.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Is it really?
Remember the song
of
Overkill
course.
in the finale of Scrubs?
Of course.
Colin
Of
Hay.
course.
So she's on a label with Mr. Hay, the man from Down Under. Go check it out. That was Coast to Coast, newer release from her. Again, another indicator that what I was playing you probably thought was from the Bay Area. Well, you're wrong. It's from South Broadway in St. Louis.
Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
Before the break, we started to get into the kind of the food phenomenon that is St. Louis and growing out of it, and now we're getting into a lot of the meat and potatoes of some of your writing that is more recognizable to a lot of people in our market, and that is the food writing. Mm-hmm. Let's do a simple softball question out of the gate. As a North Dakotan, what's your go-to? You got that day. The kids are taken care of. They're off with a friend. You got $50 in your pocket, and you're like, 3 hours. I'm out. I'm going to eat and have a cocktail or not. Where are you going?
Oh, it depends on the mood because I love pizza. I love sushi. I love, like an omakase experience. Although you could get that for $50, but
Yeah, not anymore.
that's such a treat just to sit down and let someone else bring you what they think you'll like. That's one of my favorite things where I just don't have to worry about ordering.
Where you just
anything.
say bring stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such the move.
But I mean, I love the international food here, so I would go pretty much any direction.
I read your article on the new Kate Zone.
I did like that place.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not letting you off the hook, though.
Yeah.
You got to name names. Like, we are all about creating hierarchy on this show. So you can't say, "Oh, I love them all."
Still St. Louis.
I mean, because
I don't love them all.
Yeah, no, we want a winner. You got one. It's your desert island. What's your go-to?
It's really tough. It's really tough to say.
So some of the breweries are doing pizza now, which is like amazing. I know you like both of those things.
I mean, if it's
I do.
If it's QT chicken rollers and scratchers, I'm down with that answer too.
So right now, there are 3 independent restaurants I can walk to from my house. One of them is the Barn in Crestwood. One of them is the Yolklore, and one of them is the New Grace Chicken and Fish on Watson Road. And I really love that place right now. So that would probably be my go-to because it's right in my neighborhood.
What is happening in Crestwood? I'm serious.
You know what? We're getting the new Katie's Pizza. We're getting a new restaurant called The Mexican.
Yeah.
What is going on over there?
I have no idea, but I am here for it.
Probably the last place on the list. I would have said Food Renaissance, Crestwood.
And you know what's funny?
It's so awesome.
But I believe in this is
Yolklore is so good.
This could be a great. I love where this is going because I think there's a theory that we have this impression as to. I'm saying the collective we, the powers that be in St. Louis, as to what St. Louis is or who we are or what matters, right? Crestwood is a perfect example of, I think, of the market completely missing who we are as as individual communities in a broader community.
Yep.
What failed and got torn down that is opening up all the land for these new restaurants?
Yep.
A mall.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Right? So the mall's gone, and all of a sudden, Katie's Pizzeria is going in and out there. They have the new community that is smaller homes, tighter, walkable. It's not 1 acre lots.
Yep.
It's like 8-acre lots.
Yep. Affordable single family homes in a really great school district.
Because I always talk to people about when you think
people don't know Crestwood is there. Sunset Hills maybe. Kirkwood they'll know about. They don't know Crestwood exists.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, what is that? Is that North Lindbergh or is that South Webster?
Watson, something.
But
else?
I want to get your take on that though, because we talk all the time, and and when you talk about food in St. Louis, one of the things that jumps out and it always comes up is kind of this lack of chains. Right? Mm-hmm. Chains just, there are, some.
For sure there are.
A few, but they do not what I would consider thrive. They are not market represented in our communities. Why do you think that is? Why is it that a community like Crestwood, which now mind you, that Applebee's is going nowhere. That's right there at Grant Trail, right? They do good business.
Yes.
But to its left and right, you get Grace, you get Yolk Lord. Now you've got the new Mexican restaurant. You've got Katie's Pizzeria. What is it about our region where our taste buds seem to be really elevated just by the simple fact that we do have a significantly lower percentage of chains and a higher percentage of true indie eats? So
as someone who came here 25 years ago, I definitely feel like the people here are more adventurous than we give them credit for.
Really?
I do think that. And I think the allure of chains is that you're getting a standard experience no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel like St. Louisans want that in their dining. Their idea of comfort food is something that is just down the street or is from a name that they know, or it's an experience that is familiar to them. It's the neighborhood Mexican place, or it's something that has some other appeal.
Taste.
It has the experience has an appeal to them, or something about the place has an appeal. They don't need to have that kind of comfort of, I'm going to go to XYZ chain restaurant because, I'm guaranteed to have this.
Is that a hyper local thing? Is that a German mountain culture thing? Is that it's so true. They do not, I hear it all the time from our clients who are, they ask us all the time, where are all the chains? And they're expecting St. Louis to be one version of Cheesecake Factory everywhere. And then they get the opposite to the point where actually at the end of our time with them, they're like, okay, but where is the Chick-fil-A, seriously? And like, can I find the Sump and Blueprint was amazing, but can I find a Starbucks in case I need it? So what is that? Why are we so hyper local with the food, or wanting to go to the hometown thing? Or is it just they want the diversity? What is it? It's a big question.
It is a big question.
You're the writer. I have a theory, but I'm not eloquent.
Yeah.
So one of my side gigs that we haven't talked about, I work for the Census Bureau part-time on the National Crime Victimization Survey. So I go to door talking to people because, as I said earlier, I just have no problem walking up to a stranger and talking to them. And so
we've turned the tables on you. Now we're interviewing you.
I am not used to being in this chair.
The tables have turned. Shoe on the other foot.
But I talk to people literally all over the St. Louis region, all different kinds of people. And people are just curious. Like often at the end of the interviews, they will ask me, do you like doing this job? Why do you do this job? What's your degree? Where do you live? Like people come back with me with curiosity to me all the time. I really do. And I haven't done this kind of work in other cities, so I can't directly compare.
Do you think it's because we have more time here, or we're just not as inundated or flustered with the operations of
it's a total cliche,
going through a street light?
It's a total cliche, but I feel like there is something to that show me state of like, I want to know why this is, or where you're from, or who you are, or what's going on there. Like, I do feel like there is this level of curiosity around here that is fabulous. I am there for it. I will talk to people about those kinds of questions all day because I want to know that about other people too. Like, I want to know why you want to go to Grace instead of Chick-fil-A. Like, I know why I want to go there, but why do you want to go there?
It's funny in the dating world here. They call it the three steak dinner rule. And so in so many cities in the East Coast or internationally or others, it's like you just say, I've got this job, I work for this company, I live in this building, and you're good. And then the interview, quote unquote, is over. In St. Louis, it's not like that. Like you can't just get by on, you can come in and be the managing director or the CEO of such and such, and the St. Louisans don't care. They want to really get to know you. and it's not just enough to have it. So that's so funny about, so even doing the census, they turn the table and ask the questions too. Yeah.
So let me ask you about maybe a point in time in this shift in the marketplace, specifically COVID. Because we were talking about in the mid 2000s, this kind of run up and this popularity of just food culture in general, the explosion of really award-winning restaurants, no less. And then a lot of old guards just getting the respect and the attention that they deserved. They were flying under the radar, and it was, everything was on, steroids for a long time. And then you had AB InBev cashing out a lot of individuals that resulted in an explosion of craft beer companies here in our market. So it seemed and felt as if, man, the good times are growing. And then here comes COVID. Everything changes, obviously numbers fall off, the page. And 5 years later, we're starting to see what I think is maybe a little bit, I don't think it's a return to normal, because I think normal is different these days. But, I'm looking through some of the recent articles, the one from August 1st, not too long ago, the most anticipated restaurants in St. Louis, right? These are new concepts, new locations, et cetera. Those types of articles haven't dried up, right? There's still that interest and that activation in, competitive culinary scene here that is not just chicken and fries, right? And no offense to chicken and fries. I like chicken fries. But can you kind of give us your own version of, let's say, 2 years pre-COVID, we all know what happened to COVID, and now 5 years post-COVID. What is the biggest kind of compare contrast in the food scene here in St. Louis with, that event in the middle?
I think during COVID, the innovators were rewarded because they were able to stay afloat. The people that pivoted to whatever they pivoted to, and there were a lot of different pivots, everything from, making hand sanitizer to delivering groceries. There were all kinds of things that the innovative restaurateurs did to stay afloat. And that, I think, instilled a level of confidence. If you try something, just try something. If it's not quite right, okay, then you try something else. So I think that entrepreneurial mindset has only been reinforced through COVID. So now you're seeing super innovative places one of those most anticipated places was the Good Company, Good Ice brand, if you will. Yeah. They are trying to open a mezcal-themed Chico Bueno place that is caught up in a whole backstory of permit delays. So they've pivoted and they went into the former tiki bar space, and they're doing a different concept.
This is in the Grove.
In the Grove.
Yeah.
And it wasn't part of their plan, but this opportunity presented itself, and they're just doing it. I think that mentality, it has taken hold even more strongly since COVID. I think it was always there. I think St. Louis could experiment, but now I think that is really, it has been rewarded and people see it.
You know what? I just had this aha moment in what you just said. It was St. Louis could experiment, right? When you said that, I immediately went back to Will Eske.
Yeah.
And the ability of individuals in this marketplace to be, quote, Renaissance.
Yep.
Because it is a little bit easier, it's a little bit slower, it's a little bit more affordable. And in the world of food and restaurants, would you agree that, compared to other, quote, foodie markets like a Chicago or Seattle, et cetera, those are very, very expensive cities to do this industry in. And if you make a mistake there is no plan B, right? Do you see St. Louis as, because of its kind of socioeconomic status for, I don't want to get in the weeds here, but do you think because it is a little bit more pliable, it is a little bit more affordable, it is a little bit more
logistically easier,
willing to accept it? Is that a significant benefit in your eyes, given your experience in seeing these restaurants and restaurateurs pivot?
I think that there's a lower barrier to entry in a lot of ways. I won't get into the affordability debate because I know
It's all
It's
expensive.
okay. It's okay.
I know how some people at the table feel about that. But
Just don't say cheap.
Yeah. You edited that one too, didn't you, Amy? Oh, God.
but I do think that there are a lot of places available. There's so much culinary talent here. There are people willing to try things. Even after the tornado, I wrote about a place in Ferguson called Taste, where the restaurant the chef was working at was damaged by the tornado. Another person that he didn't even know reached out to him and invited him to come be the chef there, and within like 3 weeks they were ready to open a restaurant.
Wow.
And he has a following already on social media. He can get the word out pretty easily. Like the level of advertising that's needed maybe isn't as much as in Chicago or other places. You don't have as much competition. The chefs have developed their own following here. And so if you're going to try something new, people are going to come and support you as a person maybe, or your team, or the town. I mean, definitely there are people who want Ferguson to do well, for example.
For sure.
It's so funny that you worded it that way, because I literally was just debating with a neighbor the other night that is an old school Jack Buck KMOX Cardinal fan. And we were talking about the Cardinals and how poor they're doing. I mean, they haven't won in a long time. Let's just call a spade a spade. But this debate came up about like who matters in our market, because we were going sideways. Might have been the bourbon, might not have been, but and I said something to the effect like, I didn't even know the Cardinal baseball player who they were. He mentioned a name. I'm like, I don't know who that is, but do you know who Katie is? Yeah, and he's like, Katie's Pizza? And I'm like, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
Do you
Create space to
interesting.
open up to other things.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever like look
Silver
at
lining.
Yeah, do you ever look at what's going on here and be like, grade yourself and your peers? Do you think that you're telling the right story? Does it need to be an elevated story? Are we missing like how valuable like these characters are? Because I think when it comes to a lot of people, when they consume food content, whether it's on TV or it's an article or whatever, we were talking off mic or offline a second ago, like you kind of just expect the food to be good. That's step one, better taste good. Step two, what's unique. Do you think that we're like, could do a better job of leaning into the deeper stats on the player profile?
Yes. But I say that as a print journalist at heart who loves the deeper story.
Yeah.
100%. I feel like there is room to be doing that here. Yes.
So along those lines, I'm going to make you choose which kid you like the most. Who impresses you? Here 25 years into, close to 25 years in St. Louis, like within the food scene, maybe it's a particular location or a concept, or maybe it's the expansion, or maybe it's the brand. Who impresses you and maybe like kind of carries the flag? Like if we had to have an ambassador to speak to the food scene, who do you think tells the story the best in 2025?
Well, obviously, Gerard Kraft has a big anniversary coming up in just a couple weeks. I think everybody in town should celebrate that with him, even if you don't actually go in person to the event.
Even just as a thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
At least go eat in one of his restaurants in tribute to everything he has done in terms of his own restaurants, but also the talent that he has fostered along the way. I think if you had some kind of family tree of all the people who his company has touched, it would be amazing. But I also I want to pay tribute to the people who are coming out of the community colleges and even the high school culinary tech programs. I mean, they're amazing. The quality is amazing. And I say that because my younger son went to South Tech. And so I got to know some of the kids in the culinary program because they would send him home with food on the school bus. And so,
what a
and they're
great
just,
idea.
they're selling at markets. They're out and about. Like we have the depth of culinary talent here goes down to the high school level.
So for the food learners, whether it's the grocery stores, the culinary, the classes, what's the one on Manchester and the cooking schools? I mean, all
and
the
St. Louis Community College is doubling down on their culinary program. They just brought in a chef, Chef Valley from Dallas, who came specifically because it was such a vibrant community to be in. So I think there's just
I think it's important to not just rank the chefs in the restaurants, but the whole ecosystem. And if you have, I've always thought the same way. If you have a young foodie, I just think watching kids experience food and food culture here is one of the real assets.
Yeah, and when kids are sharing really good food on the school bus, I mean, yes, they might go to Chick-fil-A because it's easy and their friends work there, but they know what's really good food.
You were telling me about a festival. It was a Muslim, like
the Muslim festival this spring.
Which kind of, the festivals and the culture and the rest, it kind of falls along the same lines. What was that story? That was an interesting story.
It was a Muslim Heritage Festival to mark the end of Ramadan. Yeah, and they wanted, the people who founded it, who organized it, wanted to have a cultural celebration of that time for their kids. That they really wanted to bring the community together, and it was in West County this spring, the second one. I think that there were 30,000 people there over the weekend.
30,000 people.
It was huge. It was a fantastic time, and the food was amazing. I wish I had 6 stomachs to eat all the
So
food
why
that was
don't
there.
I mean, that was the kind of thing I didn't even know. It's my job to know about that kind of thing. And so there's a festival going on, celebrate the end of Ramadan.
Hey, did you know there's 22 municipalities?
I do know that one. And 30,000 people are going from all over the Midwest. Is that correct? Apparently,
it attracted people from. Yeah, they even had food vendors from Chicago come down for it. So it really did attract a wide variety.
And it
of people.
was by a bunch of like 30-something.
Yeah, the person
friends.
One of the people who started it is a realtor who has a 1-year-old baby. There were people from the religious community who were involved too, but it was very much an organic kind of let's just do this.
And why doesn't that get the, why don't we know more about that kind of thing?
I think that there are pockets that do know about it. Obviously, 30,000 people did know about it.
Sure, which is great.
And I think maybe from living in Germany, I very much love exploring the international culture here. So I go to the Harapeo rodeos in East St. Louis, and I explore all these kinds of.
That's Michael B. Witt and crew. I know those guys.
So I go to all these different things that draw hundreds or thousands of people.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't know about them. I think that is one place where our storytelling could be so much better and
even
richer.
just going to the mosques and everything and Weidman and when we're helping people from the Muslim community come to St. Louis, they're thinking it's a room and a carpet, literally. And they just have no idea.
And there are some of those. I mean, I went to a Turkish cultural center where the women literally were like in the entryway on carpets cooking on the floor.
I just mean they don't know
fantastic.
that it's
the
size
there's
of the
whole
community.
range. There's huge mosques in West County that have tremendous education.
I want to go back to what you just said. I mean, you kind of skimmed over it, and I referenced Michael B. Witt, but this is one of the things about our community, our region, our city, right? That there are. What is there? 2.7 million total, whatever the number is, right? But you just said, like, one of the things you try to get out, you try to be, spray the infield, right, with attention to events. A rodeo in East St. Louis, right? You start to put those things together because we already referenced, Clark Griswold earlier.
Right.
But to the point, like,
and
is
the
that
Gateway Grizzlies.
Those are fantastic games.
Yeah.
As somebody that is engaged in your job is to go out and find these stories and find these focused nuances and these characters and the culture. Are you, because you kind of said it really, really quickly. And I knew it happened, but it was like, it surprised me. Like, oh man, I forgot about that. Are you surprised by what you are seeing in St. Louis and the region today, like you were 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago? Or have you just kind of become a little bit numb to the reality we've got a lot of things that a lot of people don't know about that are really cool.
Oh, I'm continually surprised by the things that are going on here. I love it. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for the literature, the music, which we haven't even talked about, really the fantastic music. But one of my favorite things is just to go to some random free concert and see what artist is playing. And then, a couple years later, they'll be headlining somewhere.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things where you just stumble across people and then you just watch them flourish. And the theater scene, the improv comedy, there's just so much.
Okay, can I shift gears a little bit? I want to get into something. Anthony had mentioned that one of your passions and true North Stars is beer. So, and again, kind of looking at the timeline, we all grew up in a time in which being social meant you're going out, you're going to the pub, or you can't text everybody. You just show up at the one bar where people are going to be at. And beer was so much a part of that process. Alcohol in general, and fast forward, St. Louis was part of the really front lines of cool craft beer. There for a long time, still to this day, in fact. But numbers don't lie. Nationally, locally, because I know a lot of people in the industry, numbers are down. People are not consuming the way they used to, and there's a lot of theories. Some's health, some's money, some's weed. That's kind of eating up the gap.
Yep.
Can you take a second, and talk about craft beer? And that social engagement that is part of an Oktoberfest, part of those type of liquor forward parties. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing good shifts? Can you just speak to the reality of what you're seeing when it comes to 30,000 people? No, that's a Muslim event, so they probably weren't drinking a lot of
beer.
alcohol.
There wasn't alcohol there.
That was
No
bad.
alcohol.
But the rodeo, I guarantee. Well, maybe not the rodeo either.
There's alcohol there.
Can you speak to that part of the landscape? Because I think everybody kind of knows it's going on, and the industry knows based on the bottom line it's happening. What do you see? What's the reaction to that in the market?
So I've just been writing a piece about craft beer in the Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas, Iowa, kind of this region, and consumption is down, sales are down. Some places more than others. There's a lot of choice right now of what you're going to drink, what you're going to use to, have fuel your social or lubricate your social experience. I think it's
altered experience.
But what gives me hope, and I'm not speaking for the craft beer industry, obviously, but there are a lot of places setting up experiences. So Side Project in Maplewood is a good example of, they didn't used to have any food at their brewing facility. Now you can go in there for lunch, and there's a really vibrant cross-section of people. I've been writing about a lot of breweries that are setting up in more rural places, not just because they want to, have the novelty of having a brewery there, but they are becoming third places for their communities. And this isn't in Missouri, because obviously Missouri has very liberal liquor laws and always has, but in Kansas and Arkansas, that wasn't the case. They had a lot of dry counties, a lot of rules about alcohol, and they're very gradually shifting those rules to allow more liquor sales, more beer outside on the street at a festival.
Yeah.
So I think that there are some positive changes. Maybe it's not going to save the industry, but maybe the industry can find ways to innovate. I think in St. Louis for sure that's going to happen. Yes, we've lost some craft brewers, but we have others opening up. And I think there will always, here in St. Louis, there will always be a taste for beer. We're just beer people.
And even for the sober, curious crowds, isn't well-being and I couldn't believe that there weren't micro breweries in the non-alcoholic space. It wasn't one of the first ones.
Well-being was one of
Louis?
Well-being was one of the first ones that had a very unique system when it first started, and now a lot of lines have non-alcohol. So
they're really just kind of looking for that experience and the social side and the gathering and the third space, and breweries.
It's like smokers. It's the finger fix. When you go out, the whole I'll take soda, ice, lime.
Have it look like something.
And to your point, it's so critical the environment, because the experience is not the drink itself. The experience is your chair, the music, what's on the wall, who are you sitting with, how loud is it, etc.
Yeah.
Because the alcohol is just kind of like, oh, that too.
And talking to the brewers again, like there are some brewers who are kind of celebrities in that community, and people will follow them. People will come and try what they're doing, whatever new thing they're doing, and there is enough diversity where someone who's not a beer drinker can maybe find something that they want to pick up and try. Maybe they're not going to drink it forever, but they might try it that day, and that's a win too.
One of the things about St. Louis culture that I've always loved that you can talk about that we haven't had the chance to talk a lot about on the show is education. And so you had brilliant.
She starts smiling.
Brilliant kiddos.
Go on YouTube. You'll see her smile.
Brilliant kiddos that you had. So you had a very interesting take. I had people coming thinking of moving to St. Louis, and they were buying a house, I think, in the Lindbergh School District, and they noticed that they had questions about school rankings. And there are some things like the chefs are doing in the innovation and the pivoting and the changing. What have you kind of found? I think our commodity, as a lot of people like to think of it as beer or baseball, I think the commodity of St. Louis is education, or one of our great commodities. Could you share a little bit more kind of about your Lindbergh experience, about what they were changing in terms of rankings, some of the pro tips and things you wrote for the Acclimate Guide? Talk to me about kind of, what was it like kind of having kids go through city to county to all the different things? What was the educational experience like?
Yeah, my kids had a very eclectic experience because they started at the Soulard School, which was independent, and at Casa de Niños in Baldwin, which was a Spanish immersion preschool.
Amazing.
And then they went into the charter system for a Spanish immersion elementary. And then when I got divorced, I needed to downsize out of my Soulard house. And so and my kids are very different. One is very academically oriented. One is, he loves to learn, but maybe not in a traditional sense.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
But Lindbergh, that wasn't the primary reason we moved there. We just found a house in a neighborhood we liked.
Right.
But Lindbergh was a great fit for both of my kids because they educate holistically every child. Like that's been a big focus. They've kind of shifted to that gradually over time. I don't know if they say that super explicitly.
Which is amazing because it's a big school district.
It's a huge school district, and it covers geographically. It goes from Fenton over to Interstate 55 in the south, all the way up to Interstate 44. It's like at the corner of Webster and Kirkwood. So there's every kind of kid there. There's there's a fishing team, and there's all kinds of stuff there.
And then they have a pilot program, not or for flight.
Yeah,
or something
they do.
Like that.
They do have a flight program there. And it was a great fit. There, at every school board election, there is a lot of discussion over, do we want to go back to the testing and the ranking and the, that environment? And there's a robust debate about it in the community, but every year people vote in favor to continue focusing a little bit more on the whole child and finding a place for every child. And in fact, if you try out for a sports team and you don't make it, you get cut. The athletic department sends you a letter that says, we're really sorry that you didn't make that team, but we have a whole bunch of other activities that you might like.
Unbelievable.
So try something else.
Pickleball.
and I mean, but that's so. And then so in terms of rankings, I know that so for the gifted program, let's say there are other things. So they're just going about it. They still have all the resources and the programs, but they're not putting them along sort of the same. They're not putting it up against those same systems.
Yeah. I mean, there definitely, if you are academically oriented, you are going to thrive there. And my oldest son did. But like the salutatorian and valedictorian don't give the speeches. They open it up and any student could submit a speech, and then they'll pick a few, and then you come in and audition. And my younger son, who is not he's super smart, but not in the traditional way. Yeah. And he was one of the graduation speakers.
Unbelievable. Wow.
And And that made my mom heart happy because in 8th grade, they would not have pegged him as the one who would be doing that.
Yeah.
speech.
I believe you said issues, skipping tests. Was they? I want to hang out with that kid.
He's definitely a fun one to hang out with.
There we go.
But they were able to reach him. Like they got to him and he got them, and he thrived in that environment. So I feel like that's something good about that district. I'm not saying that's the only district in the area.
Of course
that does
not.
that.
Yeah, I was just more interested in sort of that ecosystem and that culture, and I think whether it's food or music or the arts or business, education is also a space where some really interesting things.
Yeah, I
think
mean,
come out of St. Louis and experiments and tries.
well, that's what I would like to do here, because we're at that point. I'd like to put a filter kind of over the bigger conversation that we've had today. North Dakotan to Germany, moving around ROTC Army world, or whatever world. You land here, you love writing, you like culture, you like music, you got into politics, local politics through your work, obviously education. You've been in the parents as teachers world, and through your own kids' lived experiences, all of this stuff. You go back in time, 2000, 2021, whatever. If you had to do it all over again, would it be St. Louis? And what's your elevator pitch for those that are listening that that are in very similar situation as yours, that just don't know what they don't know?
For people who live here already, or for people who are coming here?
Now, the people that live here already, they already are haters.
I'm not. They're in on the secret.
Yeah, no, they're like, don't tell anybody. I don't want them coming to my joint.
Keeping it a secret. Yeah.
Yeah, no, just kind of like it's that, hate to be cliche, that B-side pitch, to somebody that's like, okay, I'm going there. These are the things I like. Maybe they're the same things that you liked.
Yeah.
How do you view it today in 2025 for a potential you today?
I feel like St. Louis will reward your curiosity and your innovation and your intentionality about getting to know the city and getting to know the region, getting to know the people. If you come here and think you're kind of going to coast on whatever it is you're doing, like Anthony said earlier, maybe that won't get you a whole lot of dates.
Yeah.
But if you come in with some curiosity and some self-determination, I definitely feel like this is a rewarding place to be, whatever your industry, whatever your interests are.
Checks a lot of boxes. I didn't realize it until.
Do you feel like because
later.
you were curious that really? I mean, you were kind of always not an investigative journalist, but given your work and what you were doing, they do seem to reward folks who do come in and have an interest in them.
Yeah, among the people that I've gotten to know, I feel like the people who are curious, but I feel like St. Louis has so much of that. I mean, the medical and bio and agriculture and all
geospatial.
There's a lot of people here who are super curious about something.
Yeah.
I feel like that is really richly rewarded
And they have
here.
the space to do it.
And my younger son he's studying urban and regional planning and design right now. He cannot wait to come back to St. Louis and dig in.
Yeah.
So I feel like even for younger people, there's things to accomplish here.
And don't say cheap. We can say cheap. Don't say cheap.
I said affordable once, and I wasn't going there.
Do you still have family back in the Dakotas?
I do, yeah. I was at a family reunion in South Dakota just in July.
Tremendous.
Love it. Amy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the
Amy,
invitation.
thank you for coming.
How was it being the interviewed as opposed to the interviewee?
I can't wait to go back, and my afternoon is full of meetings where I'm the interviewer, and I cannot wait to be back in that seat. But this has been fun.
Well, Amy, in words, I don't know. I couldn't do anything I've done the last several years without you, and so your voice and your perspective and how you write about delicate issues also is really, really special. So I was always a fan, and I always loved your writing. But to be able to have you come on today was really meant a lot. And so, not that I want the whole world to know about you. It's like a really good tailor. You want to keep it a secret, but I don't think Acclimate could be what it's been without your voice and without your words and perspective. So
Well,
thank you.
reciprocally, I totally enjoy your voice as well.
Yeah.
Love it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'll be sure to put in the show notes link to your LinkTree page. But enjoy your Friday. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.
Anthony, as always,
Amen.
that silky rich voice killed it today. Well
Look
done,
out.
kid.
Oh, yeah.
I
Got
like
the
it.
frog out of the voice.
All right.
Just got to yell in the car on the way in.
All right, we're out of here. Notes below. Go check it out if you're wondering about High-Low, Amy's page, or more in the music. And we're out of here. Till next time, like, review, follow, share. Thank you, people.
Happy Friday.